Hey everyone, Chill here with Prismatic Powders, and today we're going to try to simplify and demystify kilovolts, kV, and microamps, mu A. Why should you adjust them, and how do you wield these settings to your benefit? Let's dive in. Now, as I just mentioned, kV stands for kilovolt or 1000 volts, which is a lot. However, a powder coating system uses very, very low amperage, hence microamps, which are 1/1,000,000th of an amp, which is very little. And that is good for us because if you get zapped by a buildup of 100 kV charge of powder, you don't die. Now, the best way to think of these two settings is this. Controlling the voltage is like setting water pressure in your plumbing at home, and controlling the microamps are like controlling the faucet. Imagine if you had 100 pounds per square inch of water pressure in your plumbing at home, which, trust me, is way too much. Would you always open the faucet all the way? There may be times when you want all that pressure and the tap full open, but not all the time. And just like the plumbing analogy, kV settings will control how much potential charge is available, and the microamps control how efficiently that charge works through the powder in the corona field generated by the gun, like working the faucet. Now, heavily charged powder will be more attracted to grounded parts than lesser charged powder, so you might think that dialing your settings to 100 kV and 100 microamps will create greater transfer efficiency. And while that's technically true, there are drawbacks, and so you can't just shoot everything maxed out. You must balance these two settings upon the parts that you're spraying to create real transfer efficiency. Let's take a look at the relationship between these two settings and how they should be modified for simple parts and complex parts. Notice the transfer efficiency differences between these two parts. The top has the voltage and current maxed out at 100 and 100, and the bottom at 100 kilovolts and 20 microamps. The top attracts powder and builds mill thickness much faster, which can work for a single coat flat surface. Let's try 100 kilovolts and 100 microamps on a more complex surface and see what happens. This too worked quite well, so well that I have to move quickly to avoid heavy buildup. Now let's take a look at when being maxed out causes problems. We'll put our settings at 100 kilovolts and 100 microamps and spray a metallic base on a wheel that will require a clear coat. We are getting great transfer efficiency, and we don't have any issues with Faraday cage areas, which can be a problem at higher voltage. Let's take a look at what happens when we apply the clear with the same settings. Suddenly, the transfer efficiency is terrible and the back ionization is ridiculous because the base coat has become a thick insulating layer. Can we fix this just by dropping the voltage? Dropping the voltage is helping a lot. We do have better transfer efficiency and we're able to correct some of the back ionization, but it's just not good enough. In this case, I think dropping the microamps is likely a better solution. We have multiple areas of little coverage, and overall there's just not enough clear on the part, and the presence of some back ionization still persists. Now let's take a slightly different approach to the second wheel. We will apply our base, again at 100 kilovolts, but we'll set our current at 40 microamps. You can see how we are building mill thickness noticeably more slowly because of the reduced transfer efficiency, but it's not terrible. For the clear, we're going to start at 100 kilovolts and 60 microamps. It's going on better than the first wheel, but there is some back ionization, so let's drop the microamps down to 40 and see what happens. This is much better. Dropping the current really helped our transfer efficiency and corrected the back ionization. However, in both of these scenarios, the higher voltage on the base coat made it more susceptible to back ionization, and starting with lower voltage on the base would have been wiser. When you compare these two wheels, it does demonstrate that controlling the current can help with coverage in these situations. However, the first wheel had a thick, overcharged base layer due to the maxed out settings and rapid mill thickness buildup. The second wheel had a high charge, but not as thick of a base, which is probably what its saving grace was. Note the two types of orange peel on these wheels. The first is heavy, wide space texture, which is indicative of being too heavy, while the second wheel is a tight orange peel, which indicates being too light. And this all makes sense as the first wheel was maxed out, 100 psi, faucet full open. So it built rapidly, while the second wheel had the faucet closed quite a bit more. Takeaway: to do this right, dropping the voltage for the base and making the needed microamp adjustments to the clear coat would have been the correct way to go. Let's apply the base coat on this wheel at 50 kilovolts and 50 microamps. The transfer efficiency is not fantastic, but that also means that we can build our mill thickness more slowly and we won't have a thick insulating base layer to contend with. For the clear coat, we're going to keep our voltage at 50 kilovolts, but drop the microamps to 40. As you can see, there's some evidence of back ionization, but this is nothing that we can't overcome with a little technique modification.
All right, hopefully this helps you understand kilovolts and microamps and how to use them. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.